Hey everyone, how's it going? Iron Fist here. So today I'm going to show you how to make a track, maybe even do a little bit of a mashup from the Madame de Fur Lost to the Woods sample pack. We're going to be using BEATMAKER 2, but of course you can use any other app and of course anything on your computer. So create a new audio track in the upper right hand corner and you're going to get this kind of window that just shows, an audio track. On the right you have your effects, we'll talk about later. And then over here, you have your volume, and of course you have your pan. You can go to the left and to your right, which will be definitely fun to play with. Okay, so now we're in the arrangement view, which is, mainly where we're going to be making most of our tracks and doing most of our work. So if you look, you can see there's a master track that is going to be where our effects are and everything. Let's not worry about that so much right now. But underneath, we're going to import a sample under the track we made, A01. So we're going to click that little plus sign here, and we're going to click on Import Sample. What that is going to bring you to this library right here, and we're going to click over down to My Content. And then you're going to see the MDF Lost to the Woods samples. Click into there. We're going to see the Lost to the Woods sample pack. Lear loops, Lear one-shots, Loon loops, Loon one-shots. Let's go ahead and let's go into Loon loops, and let's find something to work with here. I think that's probably going to be the first one. And what's great about this is all these songs are the same tempo right now. So you can kind of mix these two songs together and like I said earlier, get a really awesome mashup, which will be really fun. So we click into the folder, and if you look through, I think I'm going to look for the male loon sample. Let's take a listen to that. Cool. Let's load that in. So as you see in our arrangement view, now that's in there, you can see the little marks showing where it's at. So if you click this little button in the bottom left-hand screen, you're going to see the play feature. It's kind of hidden, but it's going to be something you're going to be jumping back to. So if you look here, you can see a little metronome thing is on. You see your play and stop and record. There's a nice loop feature that you can use, which we'll get into a little bit later. And yeah, you're going to be using this in several different windows. Loon. Loon. Okay, so that's a little bit off tempo. So what we need to do is match the tempo to the song. Now, I've cleverly put in the beats per minute that you need to use in the track names. All the track names have the tempos, and they're always going to. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our song tempo, and you see it's at 90 BPM. We need to bring that up to 128 BPM. And once we do that, we should be off to the races here. All right, so yeah, you can swipe, and then you can kind of, dial your way in right there and just kind of, get it right. So, okay, now let's listen to the track. Loon. 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 Awesome. So yeah, so now that we have that, we're going to maybe try to load in another audio sample. So let's go over to the plus track sign, which is in that upper left-hand side beneath the home button there. And we're going to click another A01. All right. There's other ways to add audio tracks, but for right now, we're just going to add this to like a group, if you think about it. So we're going to hit the plus sign one more time, import sample. And now let's go over to Lear. So Lear is the same tempo like I said before, and let's find something. Maybe we'll look for the pad sample. I think what we're going to do is go for the pad sound. Perfect. Now you see that's a little bit off. So what we're going to do is you can actually take these new tools that have popped up, and you can move your whole track over. So you see how I'm grabbing this from that area right there, scooting that over. Great. So now we kind of have, everything lined up. Alternatively, you could always just press stop, bring the playhead to the beginning, then load your sample. I just didn't think to do that. Let's take a listen. Loon. 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 Nice. That's great. That's Madame Defer's sound, you know, those kind of like vinyl samples mixed with those like kind of creepy synths. So now we kind of got to mash together, and let's create one more audio track, you know. Let's add some percussion. Let's add some more, you know, kind of movement and flavor. We're going to add our own drums too, but we're going to add just a percussion loop just to kind of, you know, give it a little spice. So let's go back to our loon loops. We're just going to grab loon percussion. That's a great little background sound just to have for some atmosphere. And what that means is it's just going to be running from your disk because the file's starting to get large, you know, phone stuff. So let's have a listen. Awesome. So now let's add our own drums. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the home menu. So we're going to click down to the little plus sign with the green plus. It says add instrument. It should pull you into the sound library of BEATMAKER. So I'm going to, you know, you get all these different options of different kits you can use, different sounds, but we're going to go distorted tech, disc tech. Sounds kind of fun. So now in order to play these drums, we need to click right on the drum machine, right in the center. Boom. Got a nice drum pad. Some cool sounds. Some loops, you know? So depending on... So what we're going to do is we're going to add just some rhythm to our beat. And what dance music likes to do is do something called 4 in the floor, which means 4 quarter notes are going to be hitting at once. They kind of are going to be following the metronome. So what we're going to do is we're going to check our metronome settings in the record settings. You know, there's a couple different things to look at here. You can quantize as you go. You can add a little bit of swing. We'll talk about that later. But really, we're making sure that the note repeat isn't on and the note erase isn't on, because you don't want to repeat your notes. You want to play them yourself, and you don't want to erase notes because we're trying to record some stuff. I think what we're going to use, this first kick. You could play both kicks together, and that's if you want to be a big baller, but we're just going to play one kick right now. Just the single guy. So here we go. Perfect. So we don't need to play throughout the entire, you know, stems that we gave you. We can just make a small loop. So right now, that little green bit is now what I played. But if you look, I'm kind of hanging over the bar a little bit. I had to go back to, you know, the stop and all this stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim that down using another tool. So we're going to use this tool in the right-hand corner again, and we're just going to bring that back. We're going to bring it back. So what you need to do is highlight the track so, you know, it's selected. Not all the tracks, just the single. We're going to bring that over right up to bar 5. So we're going to grab it and we're going to drag using this tool feature. We're going to drag it right up to bar 5. Perfect. So now if we click into the sounds itself, there's our notes that we played, looking all good. But what we need to do is make sure they line up, you know? I mean, it's called quantizing if you want to get real specific, but basically we want to select all of these notes so that, you know, we can make sure that they're really in time. So we're going to click the little note feature, and you look, you have your resolution. You can go higher, you can go lower, but it's always good to start, especially with bass drums, at 1/4 or 1/4, a quarter note. And if you look, there's a swing feature and, you know, there's alternated stuff, more fancy things, but you really never want to go past 1/4, or, you know, never want to go to 1/2 really. All right. So what we need to do now is duplicate the MIDI track over throughout the whole bar area, and let's make a loop. Let's make something that's actually manageable to work with here. So we're going to grab this, we're going to hit duplicate in that upper right hand corner. Just going to make a 16 bar loop that ends right on bar 17, goes right back to 1 when it should be going beyond, you know? Really easy. We're going to go into our tool settings and we're just going to select the loop tool. All right. So we're just going to zoom out just so we can see our whole thing, you know? Take a listen. Let's add that loop tool. Boom. So now let's add some different drums. Now that we kind of got our pattern, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for a hi-hat. Oh, right there. There we go. Okay, I love that sound of this guy. So I'm just gonna kind of fart around a little bit and just have a little bit of fun and just see what I can make with this. Just kind of improvise, you know? So let's take a listen. Great. I'm just going to stop that because something that's kind of fun is music really is built kind of within loops. You can take this small little snapshot and repeat it, and that's really good to the ear. The ear likes to hear things that repeat. So we're just going to quantize it, make sure it sounds good, you know, check it. Oh my God, yeah, it's going to work. We've got the 16th. That's going to be fine. Let's add a little bit of swing though. Let's add some stank to it, you know, just for the fun, just a little why not, you know? Especially with the hi-hat, swing's always a really fun thing to have. So we're going to select that, nice and quantized now. Let's bring it back and listen to it. Dope. Sounds good. Looks good. So now what we want to do is just duplicate this section over. So we're just going to click that duplicate again. Cool. So now that loop is going to play. These little chunks are going to play throughout the whole thing. So now we're going to add one more instrument. Let's add some atmosphere, maybe something like that. So let's see if they actually have some sounds called atmosphere. Oh, look at that. Okay, so you got atmosphere 2. Let's take a listen to that. If you click in, just like the drums, you should be able to play around a little bit. Cool, that sounds really good. Let's add some effects like we had talked about earlier. You know, it's kind of a harsh sound, so let's soften it with a little bit of delay. We're going to click into there. What we're going to do is you have these different features, right? You have your timing, you have your dry wet, that's how much something is getting delayed, and your feedback is how much it's delaying, you know? So you can tweak these, you know, you can kind of get a basic setting and tweak them later. You can always change your timing, like we talked about being on 1/4 note. You could have a triplet, you can have it be a normal. I'm going to keep it on a triplet. So let's play around a little bit. Maybe we can try to find something that we can kind of use to, you know, to kind of really make the sound, you know, a little bit more fun. Dope. I like it. We can work with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to close out of this menu and we're going to arrange it just a little bit. So let's go into one, take a look. You can kind of zoom in, a little bit of a different look from the drums, just showing you where things are on the piano. You can kind of move things in there. You can get as, you know, as fine and as little as you want. You can kind of move the notes around yourself, but we're just going to quantize. So we're just going to highlight. What we're going to do, we're actually not going to quantize. And what's kind of great about doing that is the drums are already really set to a time. So these other sounds you can kind of just mess with. And kind of check out what I do here. We're going to just take this track, hit the duplicate, but if you notice, it doesn't quite duplicate it where it needs to be. So we're just going to take the moving tool, and we're just going to move that stuff over. So just going to line that right up to where it needs to be. We're going to highlight that. We're just going to duplicate that again and move it into position again. What's really great about that is instead of having to, you know, make it so monotonous, try to make it easy on yourself. This is fun at the end of the day. We're not disarming a bomb. We're making music. So let's make it easy. So now that we have that, everything's in time. Well, except for that, but that's okay. Adds a little bit of groove to it, a little bit of stank. So now that we've done that, we've added our drums, we've added our audio. So let's take a listen. Kind of tweak our delay a little bit, you know, kind of dial it in. Let's add, you know, maybe a chorus on that. It's kind of a fun thing, kind of tweak around. All this stuff, if you've noticed, there's not a lot of knobs, not a lot of stuff to read. It's a lot to play around with, and I highly recommend just playing it out. It's free. Yeah, maybe a little bit of auto pan. I really like the way that sounds, you know? Maybe bring down that depth a little bit. We don't need to be too crazy, but you go as crazy as you want. Yeah, that sounds really great. It's really fun. So I'm looking here. I noticed that my hi-hats didn't get saved. They must have gotten overridden. It's fine. It happens. Let's just go ahead and record them again and see if I can maybe make it just a little bit better. So here we go. Back into record. Yeah, it kind of adds a little bit of more variation than just, a single bar. Made it kind of like a double bar. So let's go in. Those two things are going to look, a little bit different per chunk, but we're going to go in. We're just going to quantize it again. Just going to highlight those notes, click the music note, keep it on 16, bada boom. Could have added that swing in, but not necessary. Let's go into that second note right there. It's going to look just a little bit different. Maybe add a little bit of swing to that one. Why not? Why not? So let's have a listen. We're going to go back to the beginning. Let's hear what it sounds like. Okay, I'm noticing one of those hats is a little bit off, so we're just going to go in there and fix it. And if you look, these two should really just be the same. So let's just try to make the second one really fit more of the first. So now that we have that, we really are kind of getting a song together. Let's duplicate that over. We got ourselves a pattern. I mean, right now we have a pretty solid loop. We have our atmosphere. So let's go back in, add a new instrument using that effects feature, and let's look for like a muted bass. Do they have one? Okay, yeah, here we go. So, same deal as before. Let's take a listen. Okay, so it's a little high. So we actually need to adjust the keyboard settings in the software. So we're going to click that little piano button, and that's just going to show you the range of the bass. So if you look, the stuff that's in that dark range, you can't play those. They don't come through. They'll still show up, but it's too low. So we got to find something maybe a little lower, a little deeper, but still, a little bit still in that range. We can't go beyond. But I'm just going to take those same notes that I had used to play the other melody and just make it a little lower. Let's kind of fart around a little bit and make something with it. So yeah, I really like these two notes. It's kind of fun. Adds a little bit of darkness to the track. So I'm really just going to take this bass line and I'm just going to kind of record something and kind of just have some fun with it, So what I'm going to add is I'm going to add a filter so we can kind of play around with the filter. We're going to filter off some of those high frequencies and we're just going to bring this down. By filtering, we mean just a little bit of that low pass. But first, let's play through the song and we'll record it and then we'll play with the filter. That way you can really kind of hear the difference. So first we're going to record the song, the little bass line, then we're going to play with the filter. Cool. I really like that. I didn't like all of it. So you can always shorten the things you play. You don't have to commit, to something, especially when you're playing something live on a phone, So I kind of liked about half of that. And again, we're just going to add some doubling. So I'm just going to shorten this. I'm just going to take it and shorten that in. bada boom, click into there. If we click into there, you're going to see there's all our notes that we played, but there's also the notes that I cropped. So you can always go back in and make things longer. You know, none of this stuff is really lost. Again, we're not disarming a bomb. You know, we're not negotiating world peace. We're making music. So we're just going to go back in, quantize that, maybe add a little bit of stank, you know, a little swingy stank on it. But besides that, that's it. Go back in there. Let's take a listen. Turn our metronome off. I don't think we need that anymore, really. So now that we have this sound, we're just going to duplicate that through the whole, you know, little loop section right there. Bada boom. Here you go. We have a track. We have a mashup of Loon and Lear. Let's play with the filter. So if you notice, we're going to start bringing out all the high note stuff and all that low stuff and make it more deep, more muted, more kind of like they call it a sub. But let's bring up some of that resonance. You can kind of hear it's going to give it kind of more of a talky quality to it because things are going to sweep down and you're going to really hear it. So it's really kind of amazing with just a filter how you can kind of carve something out. Really, I highly recommend just a filter and a delay. That's all you really need. But let's go into another feature. We're going to click our little dial feature, and what we're going to do is we're going to see our mixer here. We're going to turn all of our tracks down, and we're just going to get a nice little basic balance. I like to start with my drums. It's kind of your foundation. Maybe bring a little bit of atmosphere in, maybe a little atmosphere in. So really manageable, you know, we're really working with just 4 tracks. You know, the master track, you kind of just set it and forget it. Don't really worry about it at all. So we kind of have this nice, you know, kind of a good sounding vibe like that. You know, I really like it because now that what you can do now is you can start to kind of play. You can add other audio effects. You can kind of add other, you know, panning, volume. So this is once you get your track built, this is like when you really start to get cooking. So we're going to just add one more audio track because why not add one more audio track? So if you click that little, if you click that icon, that little bottom plus icon, you're going to see an A2 now. And you see how that's pink? Different track, not part of the group, which is kind of nice. So if you want to be a little bit more advanced and be able to control the level of all of your audio loops, go into the other menu and click that button, and let's see what kind of sounds we can find. Like I'm thinking maybe what we want to do is we're gonna look for just a clap and a snare on Loon, kind of take that from that and arrange that into the we're gonna take our clap and our snare from Loon and throw that in with our kind of, you know, distorted tech. I don't even know what genre you want to call this, but our remix. So I'm just adjusting my level, and I'm just noticing right now that it seems a little bit off. So what we need to do is just make sure, you know, it's correct, you know, kind of go in there and, you know, just maybe adjust it a little, kind of see what's going on. Oh, you see how I just kind of nudged that just a little bit? Sometimes, you know, it's software on a phone, free software on a phone. It's going to glitch a little, but, you know, sometimes those glitches, you might be able to make something really neat out of it. So, you know, kind of work with what you have. So what we're going to do is some of that sound came off from that clap and that snare. So what we're going to do is we're just shorten it, grab the tool again, shorten it down, and we're just going to duplicate that over, just double it. So that way it fits in time perfectly, fits snug, and we don't have to, you know, do anything weird to make that happen. So now we have our nice snare feature. We have everything else. We're going to scroll over to our master track and we're going to start to play. We have our track now. We have some tools. We can add some effects now and we can really make it really interesting and kind of neat. So we're going to just go ahead, and I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just add a filter. Classic filter, low pass filter. We're going to bring things up and down. Oh yeah. So it's like, this is where you start to be able to perform the music you make, and that's kind of a cool thing. Another thing I really like to add on a master track with this app is some delay. You normally wouldn't do this with like a normal, master track, but with something like this, it's kind of fun. You can kind of give yourself some unexpected rhythm and some unexpected flavor and keep remixing it. This is where you get the play. Okay, so now that we have the track, you can go into the Untitled. You could save it, call it whatever you'd like. My phone's kind of full, so I'm actually not going to save it. But so what you can do, you can go in and just save your file, and just make sure that it's something that, call it something that you like, put it where you'd like it. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed kind of watching this video. I hope it was, informative, a little interesting, something you could, kind of take and use to, make some really cool music. And of course, please share any remixes or anything you make with this. We'll share it on SoundCloud. We'll share it on Instagram. At the very least, we'll share it on Instagram. We'd love to hear what you come up with. It's one of my favorite things about electronic music and music in general is just to hear what will come out of your brain. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And so let's just play around with this track a little bit and enjoy. Thank you.